Hey, hi, hello. Welcome back to Pin Pals, the podcast all about enamel pins. I'm your host, Eric Roman of Warrior Pins, and we have a great episode lined up for you today. We're talking with Antony Lee of Express Yourself. Antony is based out of California, and not only does he sling pins, but he also makes shirts, stickers, and some other fun products that we'll mention later in this episode. You're in for a splendid conversation. We talk about how Express Yourself started as a sticker company, how a tattoo led Antony to creating his first pin, using friends for feedback when it comes to designs and products, the differences between making shirts versus pins, why Antony enjoys using Etsy over some of the other e-commerce platforms, collaborative giveaways, vending at intimate backyard shows, the value behind joining pin groups on Facebook, and so much more. I'm exhausted just giving that quick summary. So without further ado, enjoy this conversation with my pin pal, Express Yourself. Hey, what's going on, Antony? Welcome to Pin Pals. How's it going, man?
Pretty good, Eric. How are you doing?
Doing great. Surviving this pandemic one day at a time. Let's get into the reason that you are here. Express Yourself. Tell me a little bit about the brand and how you guys got started.
Yeah, so before I was ever into, making my own pins, in high school, I was introduced to pin trading. So if a lot of people don't know, at Disneyland and Disney World and Disney parks, really, they sell pins, Disney-related pins, and all the cast members and all the shops usually have like a little kind of like book or a little stand where it has a bunch of pins and you can just trade pins. And then that's how I got introduced to pins, really. So there's always been, pins after high school. And then what happened was that brought it back into my life was I studied abroad in Spain. And I was into stickers. Like I've always been into stickers. So initially, this whole idea of Express Yourself was going to be sticker based. And eventually, I was just abroad, not making any money. I mean, if anyone studied abroad, it's like, if you have a job, cool. But a lot of study abroad programs don't let you have a job. So you're kind of just seeing your bank account just draining money. So I was always like, what's a way that we can make money? My design skills are like super basic. But I was like, within all of us, like we can definitely think of something. And stickers was an idea at first. And then eventually the time passed and I just wanted to get into pins. So really the whole idea was just being a way to make a second income. Well, at the time it was a second income because I came back from studying abroad and everything. But ever since then, I kind of started falling in love with just creating and making pins. And that's what it ended up being, because stickers are kind of more like a side thing for it.
That's really cool. I have two questions. Do you remember what that sticker design was? And two, did the name come first, Express Yourself, or did the idea for the stickers come first and then you tried to figure out a name?
Stickers was the idea. I didn't have a design or anything in mind, but the name did come first. So like the idea of making stickers was always there, but didn't have like a business name or anything like that. Didn't have an initial design that I wanted to sell. But Express Yourself kind of like popped out, really. Like it was funny for anyone that's starting a business or like wants to start a business, or whether it be like design or anything you do. There's a website called Fiverr, and I actually paid someone to come up with business names. And it's the funniest thing, right? Like you wouldn't pay someone to come up with a business name, but I was like, maybe this will spark enough, creativity in me to be able to think of something outside of what they brought up. So I paid $5, and this lady gave me like 20 names of what she thought could be a business name for stickers and pins, because that's what I ultimately decided I wanted to do. And I didn't use any of them.
You
But
didn't use any of them?
no, I didn't. But I think she mentioned the word expressive. So like expressive decorations or expressive accessories or something like along that line.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of branched out from there. I was like, dude, yeah, like stickers are definitely a way to express yourself. And that was the initial thought, express yourself. And then domain names are taken, right?
Yeah.
Domain names are taken, Instagram names are taken. I was like, why does it have to be yourself? Like, so then that's how it came, express yourself.
I like that. I
Yeah.
always think about Parks and Rec. Treat yourself,
Yeah.
express yourself. I love it. Very, very laid back, and it's evident in your designs too. Your designs are really cool and truly expressive. Like if you own these pins, then you're expressing a little bit about yourself and your personality, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I always liked 90s culture. I mean, I'm a 90s baby, but 90s culture is just definitely colorful, vibrant. And that's initially what the design was, just like this colorful design, lots of squiggly lines and stuff like that. So if you ever see like a bunch of my pin backings, they're just different colored pin backings and stuff like that.
They are. I actually have some of your pins right here, but I don't have the pin backings that went on it originally because they're on my board now, and all those pin backings just get put into a giant jar. But they're very expressive. I mean, obviously, you got to represent the turtles. I got all four from the set. I believe we did a crazy trade. Grab life by the slice. A great.
That was the first design that I've made. Yeah.
This was the first design?
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I think you sent both variants of this.
It's funny the way I came up with that design. Like, it was like one birthday. I like got a tattoo. It's like a very small tattoo, but the girl that was doing the tattoo had a slice of pizza on her arm, and I was like, whoa. And she's like, she said something along the lines of, yeah, you just grab life by the slice, and like it stuck with me. And I like always thought that was the coolest thing that goes along with their pizza slice on her arm. And so sure enough, and then I eventually went back to that tattoo shop once I made these pins and had to give her one. I was like, dude, like a while ago, like I got this tattoo and definitely inspired the first pin.
That's a great story. That's a great full circle kind of thing. So when did you start?
So this started about 2 years ago. So in 2018, I mentioned I was like abroad. So like just got back abroad. I actually designed the print while I was abroad, and then got it finalized and sent out to a manufacturer. And then as soon as I got back from study abroad, which was like in April, March, the pins were waiting for me at home. So yeah.
That must have been a nice feeling.
It was. And then that's why I really like helping other people create pins, because I like always remember like when I first saw the pin, I was like, oh dude, like this is so great. This is awesome. And I'm sure you get that feeling with every other pin that you make, or every pin that you make,
I remember the first pins that we got in, and I had them shipped to my job, and I had to stay late because it was delivering to a business. I don't know if it was like because it was a business or just like where it was on the guy's route, his delivery. But I stayed late, was like talking to the driver, making sure that like he would drop them off. I think it was DHL at the time. And holy heck, man, just opening that box, I was giddy and so excited. I was texting everyone, like driving by my friend's house, like dropping off pins, like, yo, check this out. Like, I actually did it. It was a great feeling.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. So you mentioned that the Grab Life by the Slice pin was your first pin.
It was, yes.
Did you have any challenges when it came to designing, manufacturing, ordering it? Like, describe the process.
One of the challenges is the design itself. I mean, it's like a minor defect in the design, but what you start learning is like in a pin, whenever you like design it, you have to make sure that each color is separate, right? It's separated. The way I explain to people, it's like each ink has to be separated by a wall. So it's like that wall should be like a part of your design. And so like, I didn't really take that into or I like didn't know at the time at least. And so like, I made this design, like the Grab Life by your slice is supposed to be yellow, and then the background's supposed to be red. But if you look at the pin, like I said, there needs to be something separating the two inks. So there's a black line in between the yellow pattern and then the red pattern. So I started learning that once I started getting more into making pins, but I like always like point out to people, I was like, oh, make sure like, because everyone wants to make pins of their logos, right? And it's like super complex, and then they just don't realize that like not all designs work perfectly. And I mean, that was a lesson that I learned. I think that was probably like the best lesson that I learned. And I'm glad I went through that, because then it's like, okay, now I have this in mind. But I think for my first pin, that was the bigger lesson that I learned out of all things.
That's good. Well, it's a good lesson to learn, and it's a great lesson to learn on your first pin, so you don't make that mistake over again. Sometimes you trip before you can run, but that's okay, because it brought you to producing. How many pins do you have in your store currently? I was at your Etsy shop. You have a nice handful of pins, also balloons.
Oh, yeah. So I made those balloons. I kind of felt bad for the class of 2020. I mean, shout out class of 2020. I really still do feel like just like a moment was robbed from you guys, because I mean, both my high school and college graduation, it's like something that it's like the last time for a while that you're going to see like your friends, or like, like some people, especially for college, like don't live nearby. With high school, I mean, if you live in your hometown, you're going to see them as long as you try. But with like college, it's like people are like more away, right? So it's like, I feel like it's just like this last time to just see everyone that you're not going to see for a good while. So that's why I like started making these balloons. I was like, oh, like there's got to be a different way to celebrate. So I made like a graduation in a bag, which took place with those balloons as well. It was just like a way to celebrate at home, really.
I love it. It's so funny. Class of 2020 and the zeros are rolls of toilet paper.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know how bad it was for you guys out there, but
it was bad. It was bad. New York was like the epicenter when it first started. But I was going to say, these balloons, that one in particular, class of 2020, should go in a time capsule, because that's like, we're struggling to find toilet paper in the beginning of this, and everything's canceled, and now we're driving by people's houses and honking our horns to say congrats.
Really? Yeah.
You also make shirts.
I do.
Yes. I have one of them, and it's like one of my favorite shirts.
That's so great to hear. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, it's so great. Express yourself. I mean, that's what it says on it, and it's great. Tell me what it's like designing for a T-shirt. How is that different from a pin?
So I mean, with T-shirts, there's also like small restrictions that not that people don't take into consideration, but so I work with the screen printer, and the more screens you have to put, so the more ink, more different colors your shirt has, the more expensive it's going to be. There's other routes to it, but I had a friend that's a screen printer, so I was like, let's start doing screen printing instead of trying to go through these other routes. So color, I was like limited as to how many I could do. And it was always like 3 or 4 maximum. But so after you have that in mind, designing, those designs that I actually use, I worked with the designer. I just had an idea, and I was like, oh, like San Diego palm trees, right? So that's how that one came around. I always think like, oh, like good luck. You need to like kind of find your own luck. So that's another one of the designs that I use. But yeah, these designs are kind of like things that I like about just life, really. Like the lucky cat. I really like that design, like no matter how it looks like. And I always like try to find some like pins that are similar, because I really like that. But yeah.
It's a cool design. It's a really like slick, minimalistic vibe to it, and it reminds me of like a neon sign that you'd see like at night or something like that.
Right. Yeah. It's funny because like I'm always like, oh, express yourself, but I'm starting to move to like a very minimalistic design for it, which I kind of find ironic, but I'm also like, it doesn't need, like everything in life doesn't need to be like extravagant, especially like if you're expressing yourself, you don't need to be that extravagant if you don't want to be, right? So that's why I kind of just like like at first I was like, oh man, like I'm really minimalizing this design, but I don't know. I feel like it being ironic really helps it
I
pop out.
love it. I love it. You know, I enjoy that kind of style, and I feel like it's part of me and some of my own designs. So it works for me. You know, I truly feel like I'm expressing myself when I'm wearing your shirt. So before we move on to the next segment, do you have any general or specific advice for those trying to start their own pin business?
Yeah. If you are trying to start a pin business specifically, I always feel like, if you're a close group of friends, you always should get some sort of feedback, like if they like the design, or, um, how your first design, or however many you're going to do at first. Definitely get some sort of feedback. I read this quote before I went into like all this. It's like, you can't expect the world to support your, I guess, product if your friends can't buy this product, right? So you like always have to like keep that in mind with your friends. Like, oh, if your friends like it, then other people must like it, right? Because a lot of us are. I mean, you're a huge Ninja Turtle fanatic, and that's awesome. And I'm glad like these my girlfriend's really big into Ninja Turtles. So that's when I was like getting that design, I was like, do you like this? Is like, is this something like you would buy? And she's like, yeah, totally. And I was like, I like, because I mean, you started liking all of your designs because you're like just so, I guess, amazed at like everything you do. But you become blind to what's negative about something.
Totally. Yeah, that's really important. I also have like a little inner circle that I try and run things by. It's really important. Just, you know, even sometimes just saying it in person or now like through a message or through a video, just you saying it, you're like, oh, wait, maybe this isn't a good idea, or you'll catch yourself. But yeah, having that like inner circle to bounce back ideas and get some feedback, really important. So let's talk about marketing. Let's start with the platform that you're on. You're selling on Etsy.
Yeah, so I am selling solely on Etsy. It was just I always wanted to make my website, and I'm still kind of in that middle ground of I have a I guess like a domain, but I just haven't got around. I'm too like picky about how something would look. So that's why I don't have a website, but I did connect the domain to Etsy. So you can directly go to like expressyourselfco.com and it'll take you to my Etsy site.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely recommend Etsy. It's like super easy to use. There are some fees, and some people may like say that they're too high, but I think it's perfect for what it does. Like there's no confusion whatsoever with Etsy.
Yeah, there are the fees, and I know people can get discouraged by them, but I think another way to think about Etsy is that it's such a large e-commerce platform. You can find so many different things there. It's almost like the Amazon of handcrafted items and
Right.
things like that. So I think it's pretty important for anyone listening to be on Etsy. In addition to having like your own website, like because we have our own
Yes.
Shopify site, but we also have an Etsy shop just to try and get like the traffic coming in from Etsy and people searching on there. Because not everyone
Right.
on Etsy is going to be searching on Instagram or Twitter. And when you're searching on Instagram and Twitter, you got to get really specific with what you're searching for in order to find it.
There's times where like people message you on Etsy or like message you on Instagram, and I'm like always curious. I'm like, oh, how did you find, um, you know, how did you find this specific pin? And just like, oh, like I actually saw like an ad or something, or like my friend has it, or like, and it's always like great to hear these kinds of things. So yeah, like the more places you put your merch, the more it's going to be found, kind of thing. So yeah.
Absolutely. Do you have any strategic approach to like creating listings on Etsy in terms of like photos or tags or anything like that?
So there was this like add-on to Etsy. It's not an add-on, but it's like an app that you can download, and it kind of looks at your posts. Because when I first put my post on, it's just like, oh, let me take a nice picture. And then I'll
Great pictures, by the way. I love your pictures.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah. So like, just, my thought was put a nice picture on and people will see it and they'll like it, whatever. But there's like tags, just like the hashtags you use on Instagram, that will drive like people to your posts. So there was, and I feel bad because I don't have the name of it, but I definitely will get it to you as soon as I can find out what app I was using. But it tells you like, oh, like, because you can put a total of 13 tags on your photo on your posts, and those keywords are what drives those customers to your website, to your post.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll tell you, oh, like these words are very common. Like, just for example, like gifts for her. Like this keyword there was like way too broad. So it's like, why don't you use something more specific? So like instead of like gifts for her, I'd put something like Ninja Turtles. And even though it's still broad, you can make it like even less vague by putting like Ninja Turtle pins. Like
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of people have like that exact keyword unless they're Ninja Turtle pins. So that's what kind of helps traffic.
Yeah, that's a great strategy and really important to help have your products be discoverable, because you tag pins or shirts in your product and they're going to get lost in hundreds of thousands of other search results around there. You got to get really specific. So like pins, like Ninja Turtle pins, Michelangelo pins, like pizza pin, like getting as super specific as you can is definitely a great strategy for Etsy, and also, I mean, your tags on Instagram too. So you're on social media, right? What platforms are you on?
So I actually only use Instagram and Facebook. Yeah. I only use those. I always wanted to use Instagram for business. I know with Shopify, you can link up your shop with all the posts on Instagram, but honestly, it's just, I'm kind of lazy. On top of being lazy, it's just like I don't have too much time to like kind of manage all these different platforms.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, oh, like let me just deal with Instagram and then I mean you can auto post to like all your different platforms, but I really like answering back to people, which is why I try to focus on like just one or two.
Yeah, I have those two, Twitter and Pinterest, and I find myself not being as active on pretty much everything except Instagram. Like that's the bread and butter for me. That's what works the best, and I love engaging in that. And it's just not enough hours in the day to like be able to check everything and like give 100% to each platform, because you really have to like use each platform as it's designed. I've seen a lot of people, they'll post a picture to Facebook and that will blast it out to Instagram and Twitter, but like sometimes the formatting comes out a little wonky. Exactly. Things just like aren't like, you got to post natively to the platform that you're using, and you have to use the tools, the engagement tools that they've designed for each platform specifically. That's how you get the most out of it. And at least for me, I can only speak for myself. It's just a lot to try and stay on top of that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, same here. It's like I post on Instagram, but these like hashtags won't work properly here, especially with giveaways. I think I remember you posted it once that like you posted a giveaway on Instagram, and then you accidentally posted it on Facebook as well. It had to be something like that. And then there's like a bunch of comments going into like Facebook, and you're like, oh man, like I just made basically 2 giveaways.
Yep.
And so it was like, for me, it was kind of the same situation. It was like one person commented and I was like, oh no, like this one person commented on Facebook, like probably doesn't have an Instagram. And so I was like, how do I make it fair for this guy?
Dude, it was a wreck. That happened recently. I ran just like a giveaway. All you had to do was leave a positive comment, and I would mail you a sticker. And you get to pick the sticker, but I automatically have my Instagram posts shared on Facebook. But typically I'll put my comment or my hashtags in the first comment so they don't show up in the caption on Facebook. But yeah, it gained a ton of traction on Instagram, and that kept me really busy that I forgot to check Facebook. And there were like another 25, 30 like people there like leaving comments and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, dang. And it took me like another like 2 weeks to get back to it. It's just a lot. So kudos to anyone being able to like handle that. I know that there are like services that help you like Hootsuite or Sprout Social that kind of help you manage that kind of stuff, but money, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Small business owners don't have the luxury of having all this like amount of money to be spending on these services and these platforms, which like you don't technically, they help, yeah, but they're not imperative to running your business, you know?
No, right. Yeah. I mean, definitely that. Just money. Any penny you can pinch, it's like a win for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In terms of marketing, have you found any tips or tricks to kind of get success?
So recently I've been picking up on giveaways. So collabing with other people. So like right now I have a giveaway going on right now. Mm-hmm. So the person I collab with is called Buenas Vibras. It's a good vibes in Spanish, but Buenas Vibras shop. He's a creator of stickers, and like towards the Latin community. And a lot of the pins recently that I've released are like pins towards the Latin community. So I was like, let me collab with this guy. Let me hit him up. And one thing, like, and I felt it with you too. I was like, I get nervous hitting people up. It's just like, oh, like, I don't know this guy or this guy doesn't know me. Like, how's it going to be? And sure enough, like most creators are like super friendly people. And like, you were my first trade, and it's just like so like after you're like, yeah, dude, I'm so down for it, whatever. And it's like, I was like, oh wow, like I was so nervous for like, you know, nothing. And so like I always recommend like just, you know, hit up a person. The worst thing they'll say is no. I mean, even less worse is like they'll just ignore the message and you could just move on with your life kind of thing. But a lot of the times, like people try to, you know, either talk to you because, you know, that's what they try to base their business off of, like some sort of communication with a client or a customer. So collab with people is my best tip for marketing.
Yeah, 100%. You have nothing to lose. You spend like a few minutes writing out a little message. You know, you don't have to go too crazy. And if they don't respond, they don't respond. And if they do, great. You got like you got the ball rolling. You can do some really cool things. What was what's the collab process like for this giveaway?
I mean, we haven't collabed on a design or anything like that, but we basically had I was like, oh, I mean, your stickers are related to these pins. Let's do a giveaway. So then they're like, okay, cool. What's the giveaway gonna be? And so I'll, you know, for me, it's like a pin of choice. For him, it's like a sticker of choice. So first place was a sticker and a pin of choice. Second place was a pin of choice, and then third place is a sticker of choice from his shop.
And how's the giveaway structured?
So based off of comments. So like each person that enters, so we had tagged 3 people. So like those 3 people are in hopes of like grabbing more attention than what our followers have, right? So it's like these followers are gonna tag 3 people. So hopefully if they're not following us, then we'll have a few more followers. Maybe they're interested in doing the giveaway as well. So they'll enter 3 more people. And that's how we hope for it to grow, right? And I mean, I think they work out good. Like if you start off with like smaller groups, like these like customers are just like loyal, you know? And especially like to give away a pin, it's like not too much, you know, in comparison to like all the pins that I have. So it's like for me to give away a pin, it's like totally worth it to gain like just new fans or new customers or just new people in general.
Hopefully get a couple orders out of it too. So you mentioned to me before that you vended at a couple local shows. What's that like?
So these shows, it's funny. I don't know if anyone ever does this in New Jersey or on the East Coast, but a lot of shows are like somebody has a pretty decently sized backyard. There's like local bands that want to get their music out, or like rappers, or I mean, there's like reggae artists here, and they'll go to this guy's backyard, and we want to throw a little show. At the same time, we have like different vendors and stuff. It's really intimate. And I really like these shows. Like sometimes the person with the backyard is just like, don't worry about paying me anything. But most of us like either give them like a little something that we made, or there's other times where like the guy's like, oh, like $20 for set up a table, $20. And I mean, that's even chill. But like I said, all these, it's very intimate. So a lot of these people just kind of go just to support local vendors, local bands and everything. And on top of like getting yourself out there, like a lot of people do buy at these shows just because they just want to support. So I definitely recommend if you can find something like that. It's fun. I always attend these like big shows, and I do want to be part of it, but I always get scared. Like, what if I don't make enough money? I'm kind of at a loss, but I definitely have to pull the trigger on one of these. You just never know,
Absolutely. Yeah. So those types of shows do happen. And we went to one 2 years ago, a year and a half, 2 years ago. And it was literally exactly what you described. Music happening, up and coming like rappers and bands playing, doing their thing. And you have artists, people selling vintage clothes, painters. And I was there slinging my Ninja Turtle pins. It was a lot of fun. It was hot. I remember it being really hot up in like Bergen County, New Jersey. But you meet some great people, and everyone.
Yeah.
For the most part, everyone who goes to those backyard shows are great people, and they love the DIY scene, and they're the people who love to support small businesses and independent businesses, and you just meet some great people. I developed a lot of great relationships just at that one show. And I forgot how much I'd made. He didn't charge me to be part of it, but honestly, it wasn't really about, making money as far as I'd rather have like focus on building a relationship with these potential customers and just really cool people. You just meet a lot of cool people at the shows.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of like these bands, they want to get merch done, or they want to, so you like become friends with them, and eventually like maybe down the line they're like, we saved up some money, like we want to make a pin, and that could be a potential like just client. But overall, yeah, like all these people are great. Like all the people that go are like loyal fans to the band, or like anyone who vends, like just like really close friends, always willing to support kind of people.
Absolutely. What's your table setup look like?
So I kind of haven't totally figured that out, because I'm always like, oh, like this looks cool, but how can I do it better? And then one time I went to one of these, I've done maybe like 5 of those little intimate shows. And like one time I forgot this box that like literally covered the whole table. So I had nothing to cover the table. So it's like, imagine just like your small table. And I was like, I don't have anything. And like, I think I like went to like a 99-cent store and grabbed like one of those party table covers. And it looks so unprofessional, I guess is the best way to put it. Like I didn't have any name or anything like that. It looked like a table set up and just like pins laid out on it. Cause like all my displays are all in this other box. And that day I like made the most money out of all these other intimate events. And it was just like mind blown, because I was like, oh, like I kind of just realized that day, I was like, oh, like I shouldn't care too. I mean, I should care, but it's like, shouldn't worry too much, I guess, about like how intense my setup looks like.
Yeah, we had to learn the hard way too. Really, at the end of the day, it's about the product and the people behind the product. So,
Right.
You're a very personable person, easy to approach, easy to talk to. So I'm sure that lends a part into these people being interested in your products.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, just be as friendly as possible. It's the best thing. I mean, just treat everybody as humans, you know? You don't need to really do anything more than that, because anything less than that would just, it's not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Do you have any tips for people looking to vend at shows? Have you had to learn the hard way, other than the tablecloth situation? Maybe bringing change, not enough change, stuff like that.
Yeah, change definitely. Always have change. In order to, I remember like, I think the first show, like, didn't have a lot of change. I mean, I also didn't expect to do as well as like a person as I did that day, but I would always make a deal. So it was a good thing that I have change for other people, because I was like, I don't have whatever it was. Let's just say it was like $3. I was like, I don't have $3. Do you want to just grab another pin? And then like, best deal for them, right? But yeah, just have change on you for sure. Always keep like spares of everything. There was times where like I'm not as organized as I am now. Now I like literally carry these number one organizational tool, in my opinion, for pins. I carry box cards, or like card boxes. So I don't know if you know how that looks like, but it's basically rows in a box.
Yeah.
And it fits my cards perfectly. So now I keep like 10 of each pin that I have. And then I just carry these boxes with me everywhere.
That is smart.
Yeah, but that wasn't the case before. I kind of just like, let me just grab whatever I can see in my closet, because that's where I kind of keep all the pins and stuff. I was like, let me just grab whatever I can see right away. And then I realized I just didn't have enough of whatever pin. But yeah.
Yeah, we had to learn the hard way too. We just got into those card boxes not too long ago, and it was a game changer.
Yeah,
Absolute game changer. And they fit inside the little like wire shelving unit that we have. It fits in so perfectly. So I'm like, oh, this was destined to be. Why didn't I do this earlier?
Yeah. There's another thing, like, I'm not sure if a lot of people are part of these things, but there's like a bunch of like Facebook groups, just helping people with any pin question, really. Whether it be like your design or how to organize your things. Like, someone always like puts up a random question. It's like, oh, how does everyone package their stuff? And like all these like creators, like just like, oh, this is how I package my pins. And you just like get so many more ideas. So just kind of be involved with the pin community, really. You always get some sort of idea, and you're like, oh, I can definitely make my product better or organize better if I do this.
Those pin groups on Facebook, definitely recommend you join them. Just seeing what other people are doing, hearing, really reading the discussions that come from a lot of these posts. You'll learn so much, especially if you're new in the game too and you don't know where to start. They're posting links to like their manufacturers' websites or where they get the plastic baggies that they put their pins in, where they've ordered. They share promo codes. There's a lot of value in joining those groups. So I'd recommend taking the time to join them and just look through posts. You can even search for certain things that you want and just get down to it. But definitely recommend doing that. Cool. So we're towards the end of our episode. I'm going to hit you with some rapid fire questions, some pin related, some not pin related. Answer them to the best of your ability.
Cool.
All right.
Ready.
What is your favorite pin that you've produced?
So my favorite pin is also one of my worst sellers, but I still I love this pin so much. It's a drinking pin. I think I have one nearby. Yeah. So it's a drinking pin, and it basically spins to like different options of the. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, but definitely one of my worst sellers.
But how? Why? I just pulled it up on Etsy now. Chug, sip, pass. I mean, this sounds like a fun time.
Yeah, I definitely. I really thought it would be like I was like, oh, dude, like imagine like just having this on your jean jacket, going up to a bar or whatever, and someone seeing it and being like, oh, this is so cool. But in my head, I was like, oh, if I took this to a bar, I'd probably end up spending a lot of money that night just because, you know. But I always thought it was like really cool. But I mean, not all pins are winners for sure.
Yeah, that might be a slick way to like pick up someone or like hit on someone at the bar.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
That's maybe a new way I should advertise it.
There you go. Yo, I'll help you make like a Hinge date Bumble type of commercial for that once we're allowed back in bars. That would be a lot of fun. What's your favorite pin in your collection, excluding your own?
So I ride bikes a lot. And then I want to say it might be from a movie, but it's like this little tricycle pin and it's fairly big. It's like 2.5 inches big, but it says riding with the homies on it.
That's what's up.
And I just really like it.
I like that.
Yeah.
What was the most expensive pin that you purchased?
It had to be one from Disneyland. And I think I spent like $22 on it. And it just, it was a Stitch pin. I really like Stitch. And I forgot exactly. I don't even know where it is, to be honest now. But yeah, it's like, it's a Stitch pin. That's all I remember about it. But I can't find it now. Yeah, we've moved so many times.
How big is your pin collection?
So I honestly, before I would kind of put them on things like a backpack or, just like a fanny pack or different things like that. It wasn't until my girlfriend started doing it, but she put them on these like shadow boards. Do you know what like a shadow? Yeah, so she put it on the shadow frame. And
That's
it
pretty
looked
cool.
really awesome. And I was like, dude, I like got to get one of those. And so that I just started like putting them on like actual frames and boards and stuff like that. But before they've always been like on a backpack or a lanyard or just things that like could get lost really.
Yeah, we've lost a bunch of pins in the past. If you had a redo in life, what would you do differently?
Pin related?
Unpin related in life. Maybe you're going back to college for a different major.
I honestly wish I started this pin stuff sooner. If I could go back to college, that's probably like where I felt most connected to people, right? And I feel like when I was in college, this stuff wasn't like, maybe it was big, but I just didn't know about it, right? Until I started like diving more into it. But yeah, I've seen like these artists like start from way back when, and they're just like huge now. And it's not saying that I wish to be like so huge, but it's just like this whole culture was like existing and I didn't even know about it. I kind of wish I just started being involved in the culture more beforehand.
What's something you're curious about right now?
I always try to reach, there's these companies that, I mean, if you go to a big pin show, like I think it's one of them is called Star Emblems. Mm-hmm. And they help you create your pins. I've always wanted to be like some sort of middleman towards like merch. But it's crazy because like I always wondered why they're not made in the US. It's obvious that, you know, getting a manufacturer just keeps the price down. But yeah, like just I wish there was like a factory here in the US just because I feel like the culture for pins in the US is like insane. But I guess that's just something I wondered. I was always like, oh, like, why don't we have a factory here? But yeah, it's basic thoughts.
It's a lot, yeah. I feel like it'd be quite the investment, and I don't know the logistics or if know how that works, but there are a ton of pinning companies here that could warrant a U.S. based pin factory. I think that's really smart. So, dude, I'm supportive of that goal. If that's something that you want to explore, let me know. We'll talk.
Yeah.
What's something that you failed at recently?
I mean, I'm always making mistakes, man. I I really believe that mistakes will make you a stronger person. So I wouldn't call it a fail. It's more like a lesson.
Hey.
But I guess just like recently I'm trying to like push into like getting into stores more.
Okay.
So there's a lot of local stores that are for local vendors. So I guess like for me, one of the fails that I feel like I was doing was trying to push out to any store, which was great. Like I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm in this many stores or whatever. But I think the whole thing that I should have been focusing on is something that I know would be a nice addition to the pins. So like a good place to have the pins at. I was kind of pushing to like get it into anywhere, but I feel like you should definitely look for stuff that like would complement your pins.
All right, here's a fun question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I like for him to say that I did everything right. Like I feel like there's things that I do that I'm like, oh man, was that the best move? Or like, just I kind of would love to hear someone say, dude, you're human. Like there's errors in life, instead of like me, like I'm very pensive. So I'm like, oh, like I didn't do this. And then I just start thinking about it. I'm like, oh dude, like I can't keep going down this like little spiral of me not doing it because I can't do anything about it now kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But, yeah.
A friend recently shared this quote with me: done is better than perfection. And there are a lot of things. I've had so many ideas and lots of different things that I've wanted to do, but I get caught up in like the small little nuances of I gotta wait till like this is perfect, or I can't do it until I have a design or a name, and really I just keep making excuses, and the idea just never like it doesn't turn into a reality. It's just an idea. It's just a figment of my imagination, and so. I hate that it took till I was in my 30s to learn that done is better than perfect, and just putting yourself out there, even if it isn't polished, is still better than making excuses.
No, I totally understand that quote. I feel embarrassed to say this, but I feel like I should say it just because I want people to learn from my mistakes and then do better. But one New Year's, I was like thinking about like, oh, like I got to get this website made. And then Wix had sent me like this email offer saying buy yearly membership and it's half off. And I think it was like $120. And I was like, dude, this is something I have to jump on. Never built the website in that whole year, which is all 2019. Which is something like, I'm like, dude, like I had this website made, but it just in my eyes was like not perfect. Mm-hmm. And then I remember like I'd show people and they'd be like, dude, what's wrong with it? And I'm like, like it's just not, now I don't feel the vibe. I don't feel like this is good enough. But yeah, that quote, had I put it out there and maybe there was mistakes, but I'm sure someone would have said like, oh, like this could be this better. And I'm like, yeah, dude, actually you're right. Well, let me do it. But now like there's eyes that will never see it because, no, it doesn't exist really.
Exactly. Yeah. I've had to learn the hard way too. Just having it out there is pretty important. It's like a philosophy that I'm only adopting right now. It held me back in so many different ways. I wanted to start this podcast over a year ago. It's when I had the idea, had the name, and had everything. And I just kept making excuses like, oh, well, I don't have everyone like on board, or like the guests that I want, they're not part of it, so I don't know. It's like, no, just put it out there because, if you think it's a good idea and you like it, there's a really good chance that other people will like it too. Just putting your best foot forward. Hopefully you don't make any mistakes, but just trying not to get caught up in a lot of those, little things.
Yeah. I mean, love the name, by the way. Yeah, I think it's perfect, man.
Speaking of the little things, the last question we have for you is, what are the little things in life for you?
to me, the greatest little thing to me is like just people reacting positively towards what you create. It's insane. Like I kind of, I invested money initially, and then ever since then, I'm like, oh, like if it doesn't work out, cool. But ever since that initial investment, it kind of just started growing. Just anything I made just kind of goes back into it. I see that it's like all positive, so I'm like, okay, let me put in a little bit extra money to be able to buy myself a couple more pins or whatever it be. But yeah, like even then, like I don't do pre-sales on my main page, but I do pre-sales with like friends and family, and just like the support of friends and family is insane. Like it helps me keep this going. So the little things are just all the positive encouragement, all like positivity all around, really.
That's really heartwarming to hear.
Yeah.
It's such a great feeling. And that's really awesome that you give like your friends and family a cool pre-order, hey, you grab my pins on the cheap because you're so awesome and very supportive. I'm going to do what I can do to make sure that you continue to like support me and make it easy for you.
Yeah, exactly. It was funny. It's like my mom was like, oh, like people buy that. I was like, yeah, dude. And now she's like, so like, oh, like you didn't give me that pin. Where'd you get that pin from? I was like, oh, like I bought this one from somebody else's shop. She's like, why, you like it? So like, I'm like, oh, dude, like you got to buy one too.
Yo,
but yeah,
my mom too. She was like, people actually buy this stuff? Like some of the first pins, she's like, what? And then little by little, she's like, okay, he's on to something. He's got something cool. And now every time that I get pins in, I go over to my parents' house to show them the pins. And my mom's like, oh, I need that. Oh, I want that. Oh, I need that in my office. I need that. And now she's just like, I want one of everything pretty much now. And she's got her own little jean jacket, and she's repping Warrior pins, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, my mom too. Like she has a tote bag. She takes it to the store and stuff like that. Work. But yeah, definitely. I think that's something I should make, like a little tote bag, so that way she can have my name on her tote bag.
There you go. There you go. That's a great idea. You heard it here first, guys. Exclusive. So, Antony, you made it through the gauntlet. You made it to the end of Pin Pals. I'm going to give you the floor. Tell the listeners kind of what you have going on. If you have any shout outs, shout them out. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, so as of now, it's like July 22nd. I do have a new release coming, a couple of new releases, but I've always focused on, paletas, like the paletero man. Also support your local paletero man because times are crazy. But
sure.
I've been making a lot of pins, just kind of like popsicle related. So, and I know there's people that have created something like the Ninja Turtle popsicles. So I just wanted to make my own version of it, which is like a very simple version. But also, I mean, shout out you, dude. You were honestly one of the, like I said, dude, one of the first people I reached out to and just like kind of gave me a perspective of like, yeah, dude, all these people are really nice. Worst thing that people can say is no. People could ignore you, but yeah, dude, you're definitely like one of the positive people that was just there from the beginning.
Dude, likewise, you're a genuine person, and you care about the brand and your products, and that was evident in our discussion when we were talking about trading pins to when I got your package in the mail. Not only was I like freaking out about the pins, but you also included a handwritten note, and that was like, I love when anyone can take the time to leave a handwritten note. And I try and do that with most orders. But like you had a proper greeting card size like note and it was just really impressive. So it was really cool to see. And I'm glad that pin trade turned into you being a guest on this podcast.
Yeah, dude.
Crazy.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, also your stands, those wooden stands that you had traded with me. Those things had saved my life a couple of times. I'm like, dude, where did I display this pin?
Yeah.
And yeah, sure enough, like I have displays now, but
that's what's up.
Yeah.
And you have a special discount code for us for any listeners?
Oh yeah. So, I mean, use code PinPals for 10% off.
Pin Pals, 10%
Yeah.
off over on your Etsy page, right?
Yes.
Boom.
If I do have a website by when this is released, then I'll make sure that it works on both ways. But
We'll figure that out. But Antony, thank you so much for this conversation.
yeah, man.
It's been an absolute pleasure. We learned a lot. Definitely excited to re-listen to this myself. A lot of great takeaways. I wish you nothing but success for the rest of 2020. Wishing you, your family, and friends good health throughout this pandemic. We're all in this together. Be well, and we'll talk very soon.
Yeah, dude, likewise. Thank you so much for having me, man. I was really excited for this, and I'm glad you're doing it now.
Love it, man. Got to do it. Got to do it.
Yeah.
Got to put myself out there. Done is better than perfection.
Yes. We'll definitely implement that now.
There you go. All right. So, talk to you later, Antony.
All right, dude. Take care.
Peace.
Peace.
Wasn't that a treat? I told you this was going to be a splendid conversation. Antony is a genuine dude who really cares about his brand, product, and the people that support him. It's extremely admirable. So if anything he said resonated with you, please check out Express Yourself. Links to his website and social media will be in the description. And hey, if you enjoyed this conversation and found any sort of value here, subscribe to Pin Pals so you never miss an episode. We have tons of great guests lined up, so definitely consider it. And while you're at it, maybe leave us a 5-star review with your favorite takeaway from this episode. We just might feature it in a future podcast. Lastly, you can find Pin Pals on Instagram if that's your thing. We're at pinpalspodcast, all one word. You'll get the latest happenings and some exclusive content right there on Instagram. With that being said, I'm Eric from Warrior Pins. Thank you for your time, and remember, it's the little things in life. I'll see you soon.